consciousness explained, I said this: we give a perfectly sound biological account of why there should be pain and pain behavior. What we want is a similarly anchored account of why there should be hilarity and laughter. And I came close to promising to deliver on that. And I thought about it, and thought about it, and thought about it, and realized I didn't have a clue. I couldn't do justice to the topic at all. And years went by, and this was an unkept promise of mine. And then along came a student, Matthew Hurley, to be actually an undergraduate student, and he was a computer programmer. He dropped out of college, gone off to become a computer programmer. Now he was coming back to school. He wanted to do an honors thesis with me in cognitive science, and he wanted to do a theory of humor. And I said, this is too difficult. Graveyards full of people who tried and failed to go have a good theory of humor. Well, he was not deterrable. And when he handed in his honors thesis, I thought it was remarkably good. And I said, well, you really must publish this, Matthew. And he said, well, I'm not a very good writer, you are. Would you like to help me and be a co-author? And I said, yeah, I would, actually. I thought it was going to be a little article. Well, it turned into a book. And the book has been published. And here's Matthew. And the book is called Inside Jokes, Using Humor to Reverse Engineer the Mind. It's from MIT Press. And what I'm going to try to do here is just give you a swift summary and introduction to the ideas in the book so you will know what it's all about. So it has three authors. In addition to Matthew, there's also Reg Adams. He's a young psychologist who was at Tufts when Matthew was an undergraduate, and Reginald is the one who keeps me and Matthew honest because he knows the humor literature. He knows the work by psychologists and sociologists and others on humor. It's mostly pretty dreadful. And if it hadn't been for Reginald, we never could have done this because he could point us to the good stuff and tell us which stuff we didn't have to read. We soon learned to trust his judgment. And so he also very much helped in the shaping process of the book. So we want to analyze humor in a scientific way. And over history, there have been many humor theories by famous people. Aristotle, Hobbes, Kant, they all had humor theories. Now I'm not going to get one, but a bunch of them. So we've had, in addition to those worthies, thank you, very. This should hold. So I drink all this water, we'll have to have a very short lecture. But these are not the only ones. There's Darwin, there's Schopenhauer, Bergson, Freud, Minsky, Koestler, the Three Stooges. We've had lots of humor theories, and I'm going to very briefly remind you of what a few of the ideas were. The one that's always quoted first probably is Hobbes' line of sudden glory, the superiority theory. What he said was, sudden glory arising from some conception of eminency in ourselves by comparison with the infirmity of others. The idea that humor there's a but with the humor. We're laughing at usually somebody else making us feel superior. There's the superiority theory. But there's also surprise theories, and Hobbes is the father of those too, with the idea of the suddenness of the glory. And we can see that in action here. I hope this is working. Yes, there we are. This is why ice fishing sucks. Surprise certainly has a role to play in humor. Then there's incongruity resolution theories. Kant is the most famous or the first exponent of this, is very common today. Sudden transformation of a strained expectation to the nothing. That was Kant's way of putting it. Schopenhauer also comes in on that. Marvin Minsky, one of the founders of AI, has his faulty logic theory. The main feature of that is that it's not so much bad logic as naughty logic. That is the idea that there's something it's misbehaving in some way. Bergson has his mechanical theory, Freud has his release theory. So as you can see, there's a whole variety of theories, and they are indeed like the blind man and the elephant. Each theory gets a little part of the story right, and nobody sees the whole elephant. And what our theory attempts to do is to sketch out the whole elephant so we can see what everything. Our theory is very eclectic. Every theory is right about something. Well, of course, because these are not stupid people. They get something right. They just don't get it all right, and they don't typically try to do the whole job, which is what we're trying to do. So we want a unification of all the insights grounded in evolution and in a sketch of a model of how the brain works, or probably works. So this is an evolutionary neurocomputational theory of humor. And it's the Hurley model because Matthew is the one who developed it. People said it's my model. No, it's the Hurley model. In fact, when he first trotted out his ideas in a draft, I said, no, this is wrong, you're on the wrong track, this can't be right. And I continued saying that, and he would say, well, Professor Dennett, I'm just not explaining it right. Believe me, it's right. No, come on, try another topic. But he was right. That is, he hadn't found the right way to explain it, and when he did, I thought, great, I think you're right. And part of the reason that he converted me so wholeheartedly to the theory was that I reasoned a little bit of meta-reasoning, which was, of course we should expect the right theory of humor to be initially counterintuitive, otherwise somebody would have thought of it a long time ago. People have they briefly considered saying, nah, walk away, and he's the one that stuck it out and got to it. So look at all the things that you have to explain. You have to explain slapstick and puns and wordplay. Here's a nice pun. The happy medium between male and female. That's one of Doug Hofstadter's. What's this? Oh, I like this one. The face of a child can say it all, especially the mouth part of the face. This parody says, after a short stay in America, Michelangelo's David statue has been brought back to Europe. And then there's this. I like this. What kind of humor is this? It's funny. It's got to be included in our theory. This cartoon, stimulus response. Stimulus response. Don't you ever think? Good cognitive science cartoon. And this one, which I love. So, and this one. Can you read it back there? Then we have comedies. Comedies is different as the importance of being earnest, and of course Seinfeld, many others. And then there's the role of context in humor. So humor can be wordless. What do they all have in common? Consider, we've got slapstick, we've got puns, comedies, cartoons, caricatures and parodies, dirty jokes, musical jokes. Well, what they have in common is that they make us laugh. But how? And why? we have this phrase, the funny bone. It's actually ambiguous. It both means the spot on your elbow that you bump, and that's your funny bone. But also, tickle my funny bones is idiom for being amused. So what the heck is a funny bone? And why do we have one? This is the question that other theories don't ask, that we particularly want to ask. Why should there be mirth at all? Why should the reward of mirth and hilarity, why should that exist? Once it exists, we can put it to all kinds of uses. But why is it there at all? What we want to answer. So what is a funny bone? Well, here I can show you the funny bone. So see, it's right here. See that sort of dog there? Well, that must be the funny bone. I'm just kidding. Not very. Well, we do not think that the funny bone is isolated in the brain. We're not looking for the funny bone in fMRIs. And it's actually, Adrian Owen is doing something similar right now. He's looking at those areas of the brain that light up when you're amused. So you might say that to some degree the funny bone is isolated in the brain, and it's not there. In order to understand it, we have to understand laughter first. And this has been studied for a long time. This is Duchenne, the famous, he's the guy on the right, one in the middle. And Duchenne is famous for distinguishing two kinds of laughter, which depend on the muscles right here. And it's a physiological difference which can be clearly measured. And so there's Duchenne laughter and there's non-Duchenne laughter. And I'm going to illustrate that with a joke. And so here's the joke. Why do Germans laugh 3 times when you tell them the joke? First, when you tell it. Second, when you explain it. Third, when they get it. And the first is non-Duchenne laughter. The second is non-Duchenne laughter. It's only the third one that's Duchenne. So now you know the distinction between Duchenne and non-Duchenne laughter. So Duchenne laughter is what we're really interested in, because that is the candid, involuntary response to genuine humor, to mirth, is when you're really amused. And it's to be distinguished from nervous laughter and social contagion laughter, which is a powerful phenomenon. That's why they use laugh tracks on sitcoms, because laughter is very contagious. Then there are various conditions that can give rise to uncontrollable laughter. Angelman disease, scholastic epilepsy. And this is not surprising. It's a physiological function, this involuntary sort of panting that we do, and that it should be triggerable by non-mirthful circumstances is only to be expected. You just got to find them somehow. But we're interested in mirth. And we don't always laugh when encountering humor, and laughter may have an independent evolutionary origin. In fact, we argue that it probably does. And somebody was saying in the car driving yesterday, infants laugh long before they've got the cognitive equipment to get a joke. They're just that it's very pleasant, and they love to laugh. So the relationship between humor and laughter is not straightforward. Mirth intervenes. I gave a version of this talk at a meeting in Naples last year, and as with this audience, most of the people in the room were not native speakers of English. English was the second language for them, and a lot of them, turned out, didn't know the word mirth. And one of the distinguished neuroscientists said, "Mirth, isn't that one of the gifts of the Magi?" And the other person said, "Yeah, mirth and Frankenstein." So, but mirth is, or hilarity, amusement. We can experience mirth without laughing, and laugh without experiencing mirth. So mirth is a slightly better dependent variable than laughter. That is to say, it's closer to what we want to study.